Professional wipes. Huh, that actually worked. Toxic parents. If your spouse is abusive, you can leave them. You can split up with a partner who's mistreating you. What if your parents are the ones who are making you suffer? Every single parent in the world is going to make mistakes. It's not all black and white, being abusive versus not. However, while no parent is perfect, most of them are good enough, where others are downright toxic. A lot of us grew up in a household where it was seen as completely normal, but going over some of the things today, we might realize that maybe it wasn't. Toxic parents create a negative and toxic home environment. They use fear, guilt, humiliation as tools to get what they want and ensure compliance from their children. A toxic parent can be neglectful, emotionally unavailable, and in some cases, they can be abusive. A lot of them put their own needs before the child, meaning that a child can grow up in a toxic environment for every single day of their life. Some of these parenting styles might not even be seen as abusive, but when a child is hurting and negatively impacted by it, is it really that different? A parent can fall into more than one of these types or none of them. One of the most well-known types of toxic parenting is the narcissistic parent. Narcissistic parents can be controlling, manipulative, exploitive, and invalidating due to their lack of empathy and self-obsession. These types of parents usually perceive their child's independence as a threat. They try to control the child. The narcissistic parent always comes first. People who have grown up with narcissistic parents struggle a lot with crippling self-doubt, a low self-esteem, and negative self-image. Some people might also lack a sense of self, learning early in childhood to be hyper-aware of a narcissistic parent. Anyone who has a narcissistic parent is likely to have experienced manipulation, gaslighting, and a control that can be hard to explain. If you have a narcissistic parent, there's a chance that you have trouble living life how you want to and embracing who you truly are. You may often feel unworthy, unlovable, unaccepted, and never good enough. The dismissive, distant, or rejecting parent often sees their child as a burden. They tend to be emotionally unavailable and therefore emotionally neglectful. These types of toxic parents might see their child as an outsider, thus treating them as such. They might be resentful or annoyed with the child and unhappy that they even have to take care of them. Dismissive parents may also withhold love and affection to control their child. No matter how the child tries to gain their parents' approval, it seems impossible, or is met with further rejection. It's natural for children to yearn for attention and love from their parents. So parental rejection, even in adulthood, can be unbearable. Children of dismissive parents often see themselves as a burden, an inconvenience, or annoyance. As adults, they might find it hard to voice their needs and might see themselves as unwanted or always in the way. When someone has been constantly dismissed or rejected in their childhood, it makes sense that they would expect the same treatment as they get older. It's unsurprising when they develop a negative self-image, low self-esteem, and low self-worth. Parents who live their life through their child see their child as an extension of them. They might try to live out their own unfulfilled ambition through their child. These types of parents usually like to brag about their child. Every one of their child's achievements is a chance for them to show off how amazing they are as a parent. When their child looks good, they look good. And when a child looks bad, that makes them look bad too. These types of parents are considered to be toxic because they don't see their child as a separate individual. They might also feel as though their child isn't good enough, pushing their child to achieve more just so that they themselves can feel more accomplished. Children who live life through them may constantly feel pressure to do well in order to please their parents. This can cause the child to feel like they're not good enough or can never measure up. The child might also lack a sense of self since they've been used to their parents dictating their lives and identity, or they might confuse their parents' goals and desires with their own. This can sometimes be a codependent relationship where they have to rely on each other for self-worth. A passive parent fails to stand up for their child. This parent can often be controlling or dominant. They usually fail to protect their child from another parent's possible abusive behavior, making them toxic as well. These types of parents can also be quite codependent. They are scared of confrontation and thus live in denial and fear despite their child getting hurt. When a parent fails to stand up for their child getting hurt, the child gets the message that they're not worthy of protection or to be cared for. Some children might also believe that they deserve to be mistreated. Some children of passive parents may even have to stand up for the passive parent themselves. They end up playing the role of protector and savior for their parents against an abuser, when it should very well be the other way around. The parent who needs parenting, also known as the parentifying parent, makes their child the parent in the relationship. These types of parents rely on their children to meet their physical and emotional needs. They can emotionally unload onto the child, forcing the child to be the adult in the relationship. You know what I hate about filming YouTube videos is how you have to sit up straight, because I usually sit like this. The child becomes their shoulder to cry on and the one who bears the adult responsibility in the parent-child relationship. Having to constantly take care of your parents, whether it's emotional or physical, means that the own child's needs are being neglected. The child also learns that taking care of others is what love means. Because of this, they may end up becoming a selfless caretaker in an adult relationship. Meanwhile, they don't know how to take care of themselves, thus neglecting themselves. Even as an adult, a child might feel the need and burden to take care of their parents. The exploitive parent, also known as the hypersensitive or oversensitive parent, often has explosions of rage or emotional outbursts. These parents lose their cool really quickly and easily. They're also likely to misinterpret certain situations, perceiving them as slights or insults. Their explosiveness makes the entire family feel the need to walk on eggshells around them. One wrong move by the child can result in rage and tears from a parent. They may end up being verbally abusive to their child for whatever it is they did that upset them. On a more extreme, explosive parents may also become physically abusive during their explosions. If you grow up with explosive parents, you might be very cautious and hypervigilant about every little thing, especially around other people. You might be constantly worried that you're gonna do the wrong thing, resulting in verbal or physical abuse. Individuals raised by explosive parents have a very fearful approach to life. They may be cautious and paranoid about every move they make. The upbringing that they endured even causes them to develop post-traumatic stress disorder. The tiger parent can also be known as the domineering parent. They are often dominating and controlling, and they tend to be perfectionists. They demand perfection or the very best from their child and push them to extreme lengths. Tiger parents usually don't allow their children to pursue their own interests or desires. It's always what the parent wants because they know, well, they think they know what's best for their child. It's all about tutoring, training, studying, and schedules. Like a parent who lives through their child, the tiger parent sees their child as an extension of themselves. They push their child to do what they think they should do rather than what the child wants to do. Tiger parents will keep pushing their child to achieve. For them, their child must grow up to be a high-performance professional in a high-powered, high-paying career. If you have a tiger parent, you probably had to be perfect and excel beyond what is considered reasonable. You were expected to be the best at everything you do, and it doesn't matter how you felt about it. In a lot of tiger parenting, there's no time for relaxation, and because of this, you missed out on a lot of your childhood. Children of tiger parents have trouble knowing what they want, or they might think their own interests and desires are wrong or invalid. They might also tend to be perfectionists just like their parents. They might feel pressured, anxious, stressed, overwhelmed, and burdened to excel at everything they do. These parents constantly hover over their children's lives, observing their every move. They tend to be over-involved and overprotective. They'll do anything to protect their child from pain and disappointment, even when they're adults. Most helicopter parents do care for their children and will make sure to address all concerns. So they're not all bad. A lot of it isn't all just black and white. However, they become a type of toxic parent because they're just too involved. They need to know every last thing that's going on in the child's life to ensure their safety. However, their actions are keeping a child from having personal boundaries, and these are crucial for a child to learn, especially as they grow older. If you have a helicopter parent, it's likely that you feel smothered and suffocated. You might feel like you had no freedom because your parent watched over your every move. You might have felt like you didn't have any personal space or privacy growing up when you deserved to. Children raised by helicopter parents tend to have trouble setting boundaries because they didn't have any growing up. This may affect their adult relationships and their future well-being, where setting healthy boundaries are crucial for self-protection and self-care. Children of helicopter parents also tend to be sheltered from the world. Thus, when they're hit with reality, they find it extremely difficult to manage and overcome their emotions on their own. The Lawnmower Parent, also known as the snowplow or bulldozer, are an extreme version of helicopter parenting. These types of toxic parents cut down every obstacle that their child is confronted with. They might go out of their way to do things for a child, such as fighting their child's battles. They might do anything they can to protect their child from any obstacle, or they will prevent problems from even occurring in the first place. Lawnmower parents tend to micromanage, interfere, and lay out everything in their child's life. They wish to protect their child from pain, disappointment, failure, and challenges. While lawnmower parents might mean well, they're keeping their child from taking risks and making mistakes. Experiencing setback is crucial for a child's growth and development. Controversially to helicopter or lawnmower parenting snowblower, they don't watch over their child's every move. These types of parents are incredibly lax. They also rarely make or enforce any rules or structure. Permissive parents tend to be very loving and affectionate towards their children while providing very few rules or limitations. These types of parents tend to be more like buddies than parental figures to their children. It might seem like there's nothing inherently wrong with being a permissive parent, but it's still considered a negative toxic parenting style due to the negative effects that it has on the children. Research shows that children raised by permissive parents may be self-involved and demanding. They might also feel insecure due to lack of boundaries and guidance they should have had growing up. Since permissive parents don't enforce or set any rules, their child struggles to learn problem solving and decision-making skills. They also tend to lack self-discipline, possess poor social skills, and have trouble managing time and habits. These children tend to display low achievement in many areas, such as making poor decisions, and might be more prone to delinquency, substance use, and show more aggression. It's important to realize that there's different levels of each of these parenting styles. Some parents might exhibit a few traits while others might be full-on abusive. However, any of these parenting styles can have lasting effects that can continue into adulthood. If you had a toxic parent, you likely struggle with a few things in your life that have resulted from your upbringing. Although you can't go back and change anything, there's decisions that you can make right now. Consider seeking therapy. A professional can help you to process your experiences and develop tools for healing. Check in with a therapist and know that you're not alone.